If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. This video is an overview of the new Grey Knights 10th edition Codex Detachment Brotherhood Strike. This seems to be a good place to start the overviews, a simple but strong detachment rule with some decent enhancements and strong stratagems. We will take a look at the Grey Knights Army Rule, then the Brotherhood Strike Detachment Rule, enhancements, and stratagems. I have a list of top units for the detachment with a few example lists. I have two 2,000 point lists and one 1,000 point list. We are just getting into the codex. I'm sure these lists will evolve over the coming months. Let's start with the Army Rule, Gate of Infinity. It will matter for the Detachment Rule. We will start with the Grey Knights Army Rule, Gate of Infinity. If your army faction is Grey Knights, at the end of your opponent's fight phase, you can select a number of Grey Knights units from your army with this ability, excluding units that are within engagement range of one or more enemy units, providing all models in that unit have this ability. The maximum number of units you can select depends on the battle size. Once you have made your selections, remove those units from the battlefield and place them into strategic reserves. That is the Army Rule, returning units to reserves at the end of the opponent's fight phase. What we do with those units is not part of the Army Rule. We can hold units in reserves until the end of the game if we want to. We won't win games, but we can technically do it. Units use the reserves, strategic reserves, to place those units back on the battlefield. It is why it is so important for so many of our Grey Knights units to have the Deep Strike ability. Yes, that means we can hold the units in reserves to rapid ingress. We will start with the Brotherhood Strike Detachment Rule. The Detachment Rule is Fury of Titan. Each time a unit from your army is set up using the Deep Strike ability, until the end of the turn, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll the hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. Fury of Titan is why I wanted to show how the Army Rule puts our units in reserves. Then in our turn, we can bring these units in from reserves with Deep Strike if the unit has the ability. That will activate the Fury of Titan for reroll hits and wounds of 1. This will include the unit we put in reserves during deployment. As long as the Grey Knights unit arrived on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, the Detachment Rule applies. The more I look through this detachment and build different lists, the more I like it. It is more powerful and fun than the Index Detachment, a good place to start. Fury of Titan is not locked to any certain unit type. Infantry, mounted if we ever get any mounted, or vehicles such as the Dread Knight or Dreadnought, all will get the reroll hits and wounds of 1 buff if the unit has arrived using Deep Strike that turn. It is what I'm going to try at first, along with a very paladin heavy infantry list. Our shooting just got much better. Melee will need to be set up and staged well in Brotherhood Strike. A game plan built on 9-inch charges is doomed to fail. Next up is the 4 enhancements in the Brotherhood Strike Detachment. Our first enhancement is Banishing Wave, Grey Knights model only. Each time this bearer is set up using the Deep Strike ability, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer. On a 2 to a 5, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. Banishing Wave is each time instead of a once per game enhancement. A 12-inch bubble of mortal wounds sounds great. It is also within, not wholly within. An enemy unit has 1 model within that 12 inches. That unit is going to take the mortal wounds. What makes this less great, it is only when the unit arrives from Deep Strike. There will not be a lot of units within 12 inches. There is an arrive within 6 inches stratagem though. Is for the most part 1 mortal wound worth 1 CP and being close to the enemies. We cannot charge if we use that arrive within 6 inches stratagem. Next up is Blinding Aura, Grey Knights model only. Each time the bearer is set up using the Deep Strike ability, until the end of the turn, enemy units cannot use the Fire Overwatch stratagem to shoot the bearer's unit. I like this enhancement a lot. It will depend on if the opponent has Overwatch threat or not. I still think this is one of the better enhancements in the Brotherhood Strike. Grey Knights are an elite army. Losing models from Overwatch hurts. Those games where the opponent has a big 10-man torrent-wielding Overwatch Death Bomb unit, Blinding Aura will be the best enhancement in the detachment. One of the enhancements I will try to fit in my first Brotherhood Strike list. Then we have Purity of Purpose. each time the bearer's unit is set up using the Deep Strike ability until the end of the turn, you can reroll the charge rolls made for the bearer's unit. This is the one and only way to make our charges more reliable. How reliable? A 9-inch charge from Deep Strike is around a 27% chance of getting that 9-inch charge. With the reroll, it is still not reliable, less than 50% chance. If it was reroll charges, this would be better. Instead, it is reroll a charge only if the bearer's unit has arrived that turn with the Deep Strike ability. If there are some extra points, we could take this. I'm not convinced on this enhancement. Our last enhancement is Tome of Forbidden Ways, Grey Knights model only. While the bearer is on the battlefield or in strategic reserves, add 1 to the number of units from your army that you can select with the Gate of Infinity rule. A simple enhancement, pick 1 extra unit to pick up with the Gate of Infinity. If your list has a lot of smaller units, this might be a good option. A more elite style Grey Knights list, we may actually not need this. Having the option for an extra uppy downy is a good enhancement. It will depend on how you're building your list. On to the 6 stratagems for the Brotherhood Strike. Our first stratagem is the Combat Manifestation for 1 CP. In your movement phase, 1 Grey Knights unit from your army, set up your unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches. It will be changed to 6 inches away from all enemy models, but until the end of the turn, it is not eligible to declare a charge. Deep Strike within 6 inches is awesome. Not being able to charge after is a bit less awesome. I can see this being more of a utility stratagem, used to drop down to nab some secondary points or steal an objective. It could be used on Crow with 10 Purifiers or a big brick of Paladins. Those 2 units have a higher shooting threat. Other than those units, I can see this as a situational stratagem. Next up is Duty on Ending for 1 CP. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit with an engagement range of 1 or more Grey Knights units from your army falls back. If that Grey Knights unit is no longer in engagement range, if your unit has the Deep Strike ability, it can be placed into strategic reserves. Duty on Ending might be the best stratagem in the detachment. It sounds simple. If the enemy falls back from one of your units, you can put that unit into reserves. Let's take a look at why I think this stratagem is so good. First, it is used in the opponent's movement phase before the reinforcement step. This means we could use Duty on Ending, then at the end of the opponent's movement phase, rapid ingress that same unit down on the board somewhere else. Notice there are no within certain range restrictions. If the unit was able to fall back outside of that 9 inches, we could not use Mist of Deimos. Now, no matter where the enemy ends their fallback move, as long as the Grey Knights unit is not within engagement range of another enemy unit, we can use Duty on Ending. Paladins hit like a freight train now. Charge something, smash it to pieces, and pile into another unit. Now in the opponent's turn, they have to either stay in combat with the Paladins or fall back and watch the Paladins teleport away. Unless there's another strong melee unit to charge into the Paladin squad without falling back, the opponent has a real problem. Next up is Expeditious Exit for 2 CP. End of your opponent's fight phase, 1 Grey Knight Psyker infantry unit from your army. If every model in your unit has the Deep Strike ability, remove your unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. There is a designer's note. This stratagem allows you to remove a unit in addition to those removed using the Gate of Infinity rule, and it allows you to remove a unit with an engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Teleporting away while being in engagement range is a pricey 2 CP. I suppose the good thing is this will not be used every turn. It will depend on the unit, CP, and state of the game. A unit with 2 models left with no real use, best not use that 2 CP. A unit survived mostly intact but still within engagement range, 2 CP could be worth it. We are using this at the end of the opponent's fight phase. This means any unit that we do leave in combat will be in ongoing combat. In ongoing combat, the opposing player makes the first activation. Take a bit of time to check that if any units are going to be in ongoing combat. Is it worth 2 CP to put that unit in strategic reserves? I see this detachment being a bit CP hungry if we do not pay attention. Next up is Purgation Pattern for 1 CP. In your shooting phase, 1 Grey Knight unit that was set up using the Deep Strike ability that has not shot this phase. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Another stratagem that can be used on any Grey Knight unit, yet again only if it has arrived with Deep Strike. Combine it with the Detachment Rule for reroll hits and wounds of 1. Sustain hits 1 on a Dread Knight is a fine choice for some extra anti-tank shooting. Once again on Purifiers or Paladins, who both have some great anti-infantry shooting. Paladins hit on a 2+, 3 heavy weapons per 5-man unit, or 5 heavy weapons in a 10-man unit. The Purifiers have their new and improved Purifying Flame. Purifying Flame is classified as a ranged weapon, even though it is a psychic attack. Sustain hits 1 would apply. It is a shame that we could not choose between Sustain hits 1 or lethal hits. Our anti-infantry shooting is already a strength of this army. Purgation Pattern will not help the anti-tank shooting as much without lethal hits. Sustain hits 1 is still a great buff, it's just a shame we couldn't pick between one or the other. Shining Veil for 1 CP, your opponent's shooting phase just after the enemy unit has selected its targets, 1 Grey Knight's unit until the end of the phase, your unit has the stealth ability. The Codex does not seem to have a lot of straight defensive stratagems. We have a lot of tricks we can do, which was on my Codex wish list. Stealth is -1 to the hit roll and shooting only. It will not help in the fight phase. It will help to keep an important unit around a bit longer. Orcs will hate this, as well as any shooting heavy factions. The last stratagem for the Brotherhood Strike Detachment is True Silver Channeling for 2 CP. In the fight phase, 1 Grey Knight infantry unit, psychic weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Devastating Wounds ability. Infantry only means no Devastating Wounds Dread Knights for us. It can really help a Brotherhood Terminator or Paladin squad into tougher targets. We only have army-wide Strength 6 on our infantry melee weapons. Devastating Wounds will help make up for that low strength. 2 CP is expensive, better used on a large unit for maximum damage. This is where the Grandmaster's new ability to reduce a stratagem by 1 CP per battle round will come into play. That's all the rules for the new Brotherhood Strike Detachment. Let's move on to some of the top units and then some example lists for this detachment. Now we will look at some of the top units for the Brotherhood Strike. Our first unit is the Brother Captain. The Brother Captain has become one of our better leaders to join up with the Brotherhood Terminators or a much improved Paladin squad. The Brotherhood Terminators now have an ability that adds +1 AP to their melee weapons when attacking a non-vehicle and monster unit. The Brother Captain adds lethal hits to the Terminators or Paladins, allowing them to threaten vehicle and monster units. These abilities do not depend on charging that turn either. Castellan Crow with 10 Purifiers. These were already a great unit in the Warpaint Task Force. One of our better units just got even better. AP2 on the Purifying Flame attacks. Crow still adds 1 to the total shots of the Purifying Flame per model. When he is leading a 10-man Purifier unit, that will be 24 Purifying shots, including the 4 from Crow himself, hitting on a 3+ and a 2+ for those 4 from Crow. 24 shots, Strength 4, AP2, Damage 2, with Anti-Infantry 2 ignores cover. Then reroll wounds of 1 or the wound roll if the target is within range of an objective. Add all of the Storm Bolters and the heavy weapons. This unit is going to terrorize enemy infantry units. One of the units who can really benefit from some of the shooting in this detachment. They will love reroll hits of 1 from the Detachment Rule, reroll wounds of 1 not so much. Purgation Pattern for 1 CP to give all of their ranged weapons sustain hits 1. Crow with 10 Purifiers are going to be in almost every Grey Knight's list. Then we have the normal Grandmaster. A Grandmaster makes a great leader for a unit in a CP-hungry detachment. Brotherhood Strike has 2 CP stratagems. They will burn through our CP fast. I like the idea of a Grandmaster with a unit of either 5 or 8 Paladins. The Grandmaster has its new Powered Up for a Turn ability to add to the melee damage of the Paladins. Possibly put on the Blinding or Enhancement to protect his big unit of Paladins from Overwatch. Use Duty on Ending for 0 CP to pick up the unit if anything falls back from it. Then we have our Nemesis Dread Knights and our Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knights. The stat lines and weapons of the Dread Knights are unchanged. The Grandmaster Dread Knight did gain a Melta ranged weapon with a few melee mace options. The Nemesis Dread Knight can advance and charge, while the Grandmaster can reroll hits, wounds, and damage into monster and vehicle units, as well as reduce the cost of a stratagem by 1 once per battle round, and that is much better than before where it used to be only once per game. The Detachment Rule will add some reliability to the Dread Knights, reroll hits and wounds of 1. Duty on ending, return to reserves if the opponent falls back. Purgation Pattern for sustained hits 1 on the Dread Knight's range weapon. Shining Veil for stealth. And Combat Manifestation for a 6-inch deep strike, and we cannot charge after using this though. All of these stratagems, plus the Enhancement and Detachment Rule, do work on the Nemesis Dread Knight or the Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight. We have the Brotherhood Librarian. Now I'm torn with the Librarian. On one hand, I miss the Mortal Wounds Bomb, Vortex of Doom. The new profile will be better into some targets, plus we do not melt our own brain anymore. An 18-inch range attack, D6 plus 3 attacks, hitting on a 3+, Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2, Blast and Psychic. That is the profile of our Vortex of Doom now. This will tear Space Marine profiles apart into vehicles and monsters. Old Vortex doing mortal wounds was much better. This is also technically a ranged weapon. Purgation Pattern for 1 CP would give Vortex of Doom sustain hits 1 as well as the Librarian's unit. Haloed in Soulfire is their new ability. The Librarian's unit cannot be targeted by a ranged attack unless the attacker is within 18 inches. 18-inch lone op, not the best for a frontline unit though. On a Librarian with 4 to 5 Terminators holding our expansion objective or the deployment, this ability should keep them much safer. Haloed in Soulfire used to be in the Index for 2 CP. I like it on the Librarian, it gives it more of a utility character feel. Next up is the new improved Paladin Squad. Reroll hits of 1 is strong on a unit who already hits on a 2+. Getting those 9-inch charges from Deep Strike will be rough though. There are some good rules for the Paladin Squad in the Brotherhood Strike Detachment. Brotherhood Terminators and Paladin Squads can be taken in 4, 5, 8, or 10 model units now. At least 5 seems to be the sweet spot for Paladins, allowing them to equip a total of 3 heavy weapons in the unit. Even better now, they can bring in Narthasium in the unit. We now have Zombie Paladins. I saved the best for last, damage 3 when they have charged that turn. Yes, that does mean we could Heroic Intervene to get this ability. The charge bonus is the fight's first bonus. A great target for many of our stratagems. Duty on ending to return to reserves after an enemy falls back. Expeditious Exit to return to reserves and engagement range. Purgation Pattern, ranged weapons gain sustain hits 1. True Silver Channeling to have devastating wounds in combat. Finally, Shining Veil to give the unit stealth, -1 to the hit roll of incoming ranged attacks. The 6-inch Deep Strike stratagem is situational for the Paladins. With damage 3 on the charge, I like to keep a charge option open for the Paladins. The Paladins and Purifiers I really like in this detachment. Last up is the Humble Strike Squad. The Strike Squad was unchanged from the Index. It is still a battle line unit, can sticky objectives, and be led by a Brotherhood champion. It never hurts to have a 5-man Strike Squad unit in a Grey Knights list. Sticky objectives helps the Grey Knights get around the fact if you do not hold objectives, you do not win. Using a Strike Squad to sticky objectives, we can now put units in reserves with Infinity Gate while still holding objectives. Let's take a look at my example list for the Brotherhood Strike. Our first list is a combined arm list. It comes to 1,995 points. My Warlord is a Grandmaster with the Blinding Aura enhancement, and he has a Side Cannon equipped. For the other characters, we do have Castellan Crow, a Brotherhood Librarian with the Tomb of Forbidden Ways, a Grandmaster Dreadnought with the Side Cannon, Subliminator, and the Great Hammer. For our battle line, we do have a unit of 5 Terminators with a Side Cannon, Narthasium, and an Ancient's Banner. I also have 2 units of 5 Strike Squads with a Side Cannon and Close Combat Weapon in each one of those Strike Squads. For the other datasheets, we do have 2 Nemesis Dread Knights with the Heavy Side Cannon, Heavy Incinerator, and the Great Hammer. A unit of 8 Paladin Squad with 3 Side Cannons, a Narthasium, and Ancient's Banner in that unit. Finally, a 10-man unit of Purifiers. I do have 4 Incinerators in that unit. The other 2,000 point list is an infantry heavy list, and this list comes to 2,000 points. Our Warlord once again is a Grandmaster with the Blinding Aura enhancement and a Side Cannon. For our other characters, we do have Castellan Crow, a Brotherhood Librarian with a Tomb of Forbidden Ways, and a Brotherhood Captain. For the battle line is 2 units of 5 Terminators, 1 Side Cannon, Narthasium, and Ancient's Banner in each one of those 5-man units. One of those units will be joined up with the Brotherhood Librarian. 2 units of 5 Strike Squads with a Side Cannon and Close Combat Weapon in each one of those 5-man units. For the other datasheets, we do have 2 units of 8 Paladins, 3 Side Cannons, a Narthasium, and Ancient's Banner in each one of those 8-man units. Those 2 units will be joining the Grand Master and the Brother Captain. Finally, we do have a unit of 10 Purifiers to join up with Castellan Crow. Final Brotherhood Strike list is a 1,000 point list. It is a combined arm list that comes to 995 points. Warlord once again is a Grand Master with the Blinding Aura enhancement and a Side Cannon. Other characters, we do have Castellan Crow. Battle line is 2 5-man Strike Squad units with a Side Cannon and Close Combat Weapon in each one of those units. For the other datasheets, we do have a Nemesis Dread Knight with a Heavy Side Cannon, Heavy Incinerator, and a Great Hammer. A 5-man Paladin Squad, 3 Side Cannons, Narthasium, and an Ancient's Banner in that unit. Finally, a 5-man Purifier Squad to join up with Castellan Crow. Those are my 3 example lists for the Brotherhood Strike. I'm looking forward to using the 2,000 point combined arm list, testing what I can do with those Paladins combined with the Dread Knights. We will finish the video with some final thoughts. Brotherhood Strike will be the first detachment I have on the battle reports. I want to test how strong the Paladins are in the detachment along with the Dread Knights. The overview unit section will get more detailed as I get some more playing experience with the datasheet changes. Which of these lists do you want to try? A combined arms list or a more infantry heavy list? You could even run a Dread Knight spam list in this detachment. Dread Knight spam will be better in the next detachment overview, the Sanctix Spearhead. Subscribe for more Grey Knights videos, battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40k content. Channel members gain early access to videos and an invite to the channel Discord. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.